Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Cricket Mehfil. I am your host, Behram Kazi, and with me I have over here fan favorite and resident host at Grassroots Cricket, Nawab Hassan Hussain Qureshi. And we're going to be previewing the Karachi Test today and also reviewing the Rawalpindi Test played between Pakistan and Australia. But before we even get to the cricket, we'd like to share some words on the untimely demise of cricketing icon Shane Warne at 52 years of age. A bona fide legend of cricket, 708 test wickets, 293 ODI wickets. I think it's quite safe to say that he is the greatest leg spinner to have ever graced the game and arguably the greatest spinner of all time. Not only was Shane Warne a master of his trade, but he was also an entertainer, a showman, and one hell of a competitor. He was a leg spinner who had the attitude of an express quick, and he really had that never say die attitude on the field. Apart from that, from what we've learned through the tributes that have been pouring in, he was a larger than life character. He lived life to his absolute fullest. And then also, he was a very loyal friend. And one common theme is that he had a lot of time for everyone. He was very generous with his time. And we can see that because Warney has contributed so much to the game even after hanging up his boots. He was a commentator, he has coached, he was a mentor to so many. So, Hassan Bhai, how big of a loss is this for Australian cricket and the cricketing fraternity at large?
Baram, I think you summed it up absolutely beautifully about Warney. It's a huge loss. For those of us who grew up watching cricket at that era, Warney was the X factor. He was something new, perfectly summed up by you. The leg spinner with the attitude of a fast bowler. He changed the game. He just changed the game. And there were so many facets to his skill, not just the leg spin. You know, the mind games, the fact that he would be telling guys, I'm going to get you out, you're going to lose this game, and then they would lose that game. Exceptional slip fielder. The guy who changed the role of spinners in white ball cricket to what we see today, to them being dominant. That all starts with Shane Warne. So much more than just a bowler, so much more than just a leg spinner. I think the greatest praise I can give Shane Warne is that he was the equivalent of Sir Vivian Richards. He was box office. He had the X factor. He was everything that made you want to be a cricketer. And Behram, the millions of boys and girls around the world who picked up that ball and wanted to bowl leg spin was because of Shane Warne. We see so many of them, today. And the fact that he enjoyed watching leg spinners, his happiness at watching Yasir Shah, his excitement at seeing Rashid Khan, anywhere a leg spinner would come up, Warney would be the first one saying, wow, this is amazing. Brilliant commentator. And, as someone who's been very lucky to have studied his life, he just loved his family. He loved his kids. And all our thoughts and prayers are with them. It's a huge loss for not just Australian cricket. It's a huge loss for Australia. And it's a huge loss for all of us. And look, we as Pakistanis, we suffered at Warney's hands all the time. But look at how the fans have paid tribute to him. We love him. And he'll always be a part of our memories. And, may he rest in peace. And our thoughts and prayers are with his friends and family at this very difficult time.
Absolutely. And when Shane Warne was playing cricket, we were always glued to our TV sets. Just a personal anecdote I want to share before we move on is that 2005 Ashes series. I traditionally have always supported England in the Ashes just because Australia have just been such a dominant team over the years. But in that 2005 Ashes, halfway through that series, I switched allegiances just because of Shane Keith Warne. That never say die attitude was on full display in that series, and he was just amazing with both bat and ball. And we at Grassroots Cricket, we extend our deepest condolences to Shane Warne's family, friends, loved ones, and his fans across the globe. Now, moving on to the cricket, and before we can even talk about any of the performances, Hassan Bhai, we have to talk about that one thing that's on everyone's mind, the pitch at the Rawalpindi Cricket Stadium. It has been subject to a lot of criticism, such that Pakistan scored 728 runs for the loss of 4 wickets on this pitch, and Australia scored 459 for the loss of 10. Now, 14 wickets over the course of 5 days. And I guess it's fair to agree with the critics over here that it was not an even contest between bat and ball. Your take, Hassan Bhai?
No, it wasn't. I agree with you. Not an even contest. Yes, not the best pitch. But my God, some of the criticism, Behram. The whole idea that this is somehow a negative pitch, I don't know. I mean, we did take 10 wickets, didn't we? And the fact that we kept Australia in the field for most of that time. And the second innings around the way our batsmen played. So yes, look, not an ideal pitch for a test match. I'm not defending it. But the fact that had we not lost so much time, would we have had an opportunity? Tough to say. You want to see more sporting pitches. You want to see wickets that have a little bit of even bounce to them for bat and ball both. That this pitch was not. I've seen worse pitches. I've seen some absolutely horrible pitches when Pakistan and India have played each other and racked up 7-7, 8-800 declared over the course of an innings. So I hope we have better surfaces. But I think if we'd had a bit more time, the way Pakistan bowled, the way we kept putting ourselves back into it, I think we're being a little harsh on our batsmen when we're saying that, they were only good because of the pitch. Australia batted on that pitch and they didn't do anywhere near as well as our guys did. And we did take 10 wickets. So, yes, not the best wicket, not the worst also. I've seen much, much worse. And I hope that the wickets in Karachi and Lahore are much better. More sporting wickets, there's more chance of a result.
Described by Stephen Smith as benign and dead. I do see the point, because you want a surface that promotes a result at the end of the day. And maybe to your point, had we not lost time to rain and bad light, maybe there could have been a result over here. But ultimately, I too feel that, the contest between bat and ball has to be a bit more even. And generally, Hassan Bhai, that wasn't a great advert for Test cricket, was it?
No, I agree. It wasn't. And you don't want that. You've got two such wonderful teams, so much exciting talent on both sides. You want a game that is played on a surface that gives something. Like you said, there's the possibility of a result all the way through. So in that regard, it didn't do well. It didn't stand up. But as Pakistan fans, I think we can take a little bit more positives out of it and go into the next matches thinking, all right, we had a good run out. Hopefully, we got the Aussies a little bit tired bowling on it for one whole day. Because, again, Behram, if the wickets take spin, suddenly everyone's going to be like, oh, they make spinning wickets. They make fast and bouncy wickets for their bowlers in Australia, don't they? So, yeah, I mean, I'm hoping for better wickets. Not a great advert for Test cricket. Honestly, though, I don't think it's as much of an issue as some people have made it. But then that's just my personal opinion.
Fair enough. And on that note, let's move on to the performances of the players and teams in this game. I'll start off with Pakistan. As you mentioned, lots of positives for Pakistan to take forward. For starters, they did score 728 runs over the course of 2 innings for the loss of just 4 wickets. Hassan Bhai, I want to start with the openers, because the opening conundrum has pretty much been associated with Pakistan since the dawn of times. And over here, we've finally seen 2 openers who are doing their best to set history straight and change the course of history. Of course, Abdullah Shafique, prodigious talent, dare I say. He got a ton on first class debut, a ton on T20 debut. He was really impressive for the Lahore Qalandars just recently. He scored twin 50s in his very first test match. And in this test match, yes, he will be gutted with his dismissal in the first innings. I think he could have scored many more runs than the 44 that he did, but then he did make amends for that in the second innings, scored his maiden ton, 136 not out. What is your take on Abdullah?
Brilliant. And there were those records, Behram, of how it's only happened 3 times in Test cricket that 2 openers have gone on and put 100 stands both times. And Abdullah has been involved in it twice with Abid Ali, who, of course, like you said, was such an important part of our opening combination, but then we lost him to health issues. So for Abdullah to come on with a different partner, to continue doing that, yes, very disappointed. He would have been very disappointed with himself. The way it happened in the first innings, but to make amends for it. And he was beautiful to watch today. He was playing his shots. He was fantastic. The running between the wickets was good. I was very lucky to watch his century when he got to the 100, really enjoyed it. And then he didn't think to himself, all right, job done. He kept batting. He kept doing it. Wonderful to see that appetite. He's really had, mashallah, an incredible last 6 months or so. Long may it continue. Superb talent. And he just seems like such a settled, down-to-earth kind of guy that you really want him to keep succeeding more and more. Wonderful for Pakistan cricket. Very happy for Abdullah. Very happy for his family and fans.
Absolutely. And now he has a test average of 82 odd to boast about as well. I'll talk about his partner now, Imam-ul-Haq, who had struggled in test cricket up until this point. Both of us, I think I for sure, was opting for Shan Masood to play in this test match over Imam-ul-Haq, even though I wished Imam the best of success. And boy, did he deliver. And he really silenced his critics, because he scored twin hundreds and only became the 10th Pakistani to do so ever. He made his maiden 100 in the first innings, which I thought was quite crucial, 157, and then followed it up with an unbeaten 111. Imam-ul-Haq is definitely here to say, Hassan Bhai, and how happy are you to see his progress?
Very happy, because I've been one of his biggest critics. So I think people will rightly turn around and say you criticized him. I did feel that Test cricket was where he deserved to play. I feel he was a bit unfairly done by that. He didn't get the continuous opportunities in Test cricket that he got in one-day cricket. But I'm so happy he's shut me up. I'm really happy that he's gone out there, performed like a lion hard, played brilliant cricket. The way his footwork against Nathan Lyon was exceptional. He showed a lot of heart to make his first 100 a big one, to make his second 100 an unbeaten one. Wonderful to see. I hope it gives him, so much confidence, a belief in his ability, which he's always had. And it's just great for him to join that select band of players, which includes his uncle. So, wonderful day for the family. And it's just something he can be very, very proud of. And I think he should be very proud of his performance because it was a very dominating performance. Again, people talk about the pitch. People talk about a lot of things. Look, you can only play on the pitch that you're given. You can only play against the bowlers who are bowling against you. Got a little bit lucky second time round. If they'd reviewed that, I was on my knees saying, don't review it. And then, just very happy for him to get these 200s. I think he deserves it. Hopefully he carries his form on into the rest of the series, Behram. How wonderful would it be to see Imam break a record, like get over 500 runs for the series? It would just be brilliant. And then he can take all the criticism and throw it back at us, and we'll be very happy.
100%, and long may his form continue. Like you mentioned, the way he came down the track to Nathan Lyon and his balance throughout his innings. His cover drives versus Mitchell Starc were a sight for sore eyes. And really, I'm feeling optimistic about Imam and I wish him the best of luck. Some other positives, of course, Hassan Bhai, veteran Azhar Ali, also under the scanner for quite a while, scores a daddy 100 on a massive occasion, 185. And Australia are his favorite team to play against. He scored a double 100 against them in Melbourne. He scored twin 100s against them in the UAE. And he boasts an average of over 50 against Australia. Definitely lived up to that reputation, and he gets a lot of stick for his strike rate, but ultimately he did score his runs at a strike rate of over 50. So I think he's got that base covered. And I was watching Jared Kimber's video, Hassan Bhai, and he was showing statistics from 2020 onwards. Azhar Ali has scored the most amount of runs for Pakistan and the third highest runs in the world. How surprising is that for you?
Considering that we're hearing that he's about to be dropped and he's in bad form, it's brilliant, isn't it? Look, Azhar has been proving his critics wrong since he made his debut against Australia on that tour of, in England. What is it now? 12 years ago. They always don't believe in him. Everybody puts him down. Look, he does what he does better than anybody we've had in a long time. He's a big game player. All right. Again, I'm hearing things about he only made runs because of the wicket. Yeah, who didn't make runs because of the wicket? All right.
100 is 100.
100 is 100, and such a big 100. The way he played, the way they complained about his strike rate, he's playing a test match. That's exceptional test match batting. Very happy for him. And like you mentioned, he's done very well against Australia, something a lot of Pakistani batsmen can't say that they've done. He's got a double 100 against them on their turf. He's got twin 100s against them in the UAE. I'm so happy for him because, again, just like Imam, this is someone who has been given so much grief and had so many doubters. For him to shut them up, it's wonderful to see. And again, long may it continue, because Azhar Ali making runs in Test cricket is good for Pakistan. I really hope we start showing him the respect that his record deserves. I just worry that we won't appreciate him till he's gone, and it would be very unfair to a guy who has been a wonderful servant of Pakistan cricket.
And his experience really is invaluable, Hassan Bhai. 92 test matches, an average of over 43. He really is that wall in Pakistan's batting order. And he's never been a traditional stroke player. He's always believed in grit and grind, and he delivered to perfection. One other performer in Pakistan's ranks that I want to talk about, Hassan Bhai, is Nauman Ali. Career best figures of 6 for 107, especially on a surface which did not have a lot in it for the bowlers. It's worth a lot of praise in my eyes. What about you?
Huge amount of praise, but then this is the advantage of someone who knows domestic conditions. Nomi Bhai has been going around taking these wickets for what, a decade? He's been bowling on these wickets. He knows how to bowl 6 wickets against Australia on not a Benson burner, as we say in English, on something that Steve Smith called dead and benign. Mm-hmm. Brilliant performance, just absolutely brilliant. The way, and he, kept taking wickets. He always looked like he was in the game. He was drawing false shots. Look, it's just brilliant to see Nauman succeed. It's absolutely fantastic. Since his debut, he's come in. You want the guys who have the knowledge of local conditions that well that they're going to be bankers for you. And it's brilliant for Pakistan to have someone who's played so much domestic cricket, didn't really get his test debut till he was, 31? And now he looks the part, and look, hopefully, inshallah, he can play for many more years to come, the role he has to do. And hopefully, he'll put a little bit of doubt into the Australians' minds. They'll think to themselves, okay, we got, as a team, 3 wickets, 1 guy run out. This guy went and got 6. Maybe, start putting some ideas in their head, think about demons in the Karachi pitch. So it's really brilliant to see. And you're absolutely right. He deserves a ton of praise for just going on and believing in himself, backing himself. Wonderful to see Babar back him also. You love to see it.
To put things into context, only 14 wickets fell in the entire test match and 6 of them were claimed by Nauman. So yes, phenomenal performance, deserves all the praise. And just before I move on to analysing Australia's performers, Hassan bhai, let's talk a little bit about the Rawalpindi crowd. Now, whether it rains, whether the game is headed towards an imminent draw, one thing's for certain, the Rawalpindi crowd will turn up in numbers and they are just so energetic, full of life. And all of those banners that they had, some of them caught the eye of Marnus Labuschagne, and it was just a very feel-good factor throughout this test match, wasn't it?
It was the perfect advert for Test cricket, Behram. Just the way the pitch wasn't, the crowd was. The crowd was amazing. They were brilliant. Just wonderful to see the color, to see people of all age groups. I saw more than one Australian fan, in the crowd, people talking to them, and they were saying, look at how hospitable everybody's been. Look at how wonderful David Warner dancing with them, the Australian players mingling with them. Just a credit to Pakistan, a credit to Rawalpindi, a credit to cricket in general, a brilliant, brilliant crowd. And the way that they cheered on everything. I think the boys who got their hundreds, Abdullah and Imam, they will remember that crowd for a very long time. And look, we always had a complaint in this country, Behram, you would have been too young at that time. We complained that not enough people care about Test cricket. The Rawalpindi crowd show you that they really care about Test cricket, and they couldn't care less about how that wicket was. Over 5 days, they had a ball of a time. They made sure the players felt it. The Aussie guys would have felt it. The Pakistanis surely felt it. Just a wonderful advert to see. Just amazing to hear the noise constantly. 3 maidens, and the noise was like watching one of the PSL knockout games. Brilliant, brilliant crowd. I think we cannot praise them enough for how fantastic they have been in terms of people looking at Pakistan cricket and the way crowds are. I think, honestly, one of the best crowds I have ever seen in a test match in Pakistan. Easily, easily.
They've definitely built a reputation now that regardless of the format, and even if it's an inconsequential day of cricket, Rawalpindi will turn up and they must be lauded for that. And to your point, the Aussie cricketers, they also really felt it. You heard Pat Cummins, Usman Khwaja, David Warner all speak of the crowd fondly, even Marnus Labuschagne, who had a lot of fun with them as well. Anyway, moving on to Australia's performance, Hassan bhai, not a whole lot to write home about, but still some positives. Of course, their top 4 have gotten some runs under their belt. Usman Khwaja, the local boy, almost scored 100 at his home ground. He came agonizing close, just fell 3 runs short. And then, of course, Marnus Labuschagne also fell 10 runs short of his 100 on 90. And then David Warner got 68 and Stephen Smith got 78 as well. So they'll definitely take some confidence out of this game going into Karachi.
Absolutely. That's 4 of their best players. Those are match winners, every single one of them. So for them to go in, having gotten an idea of conditions, having gotten an idea of the kind of bowlers they're up against, Australia will be very happy with that. They won't be too happy about the collapse when they could have possibly pushed ahead of Pakistan a little bit. But look, your top 4 finding runs, just 13 runs between Usman and Marnus making hundreds. Australia will be quietly confident, and it's wonderful for them to have had that opportunity of having had a workout. Like some people were saying, oh, it's like a glorified net session, but it's a brilliant session for them in the way that their players were able to go out there, gauge the conditions. I know Karachi and Lahore will be different, but it'll just bring the confidence of having runs under your belt. They'll be very happy with that.
In a way, it's really positive for both teams that now their players have got some game time under their belt and they will be better prepared for the challenges that lie ahead. Let's move on to previewing the Karachi test now, Hassan bhai. The conditions, obviously, we expect them to be a bit more drier, a bit more in it for the spinners in Karachi, and definitely that breeze from the sea that comes into the equation and assists the fast bowlers as well. We have to take that into account. I'll come to Australia first. Now, we spoke about this in the previous episode as well, that Australia might opt for a spinner like Mitchell Swepson or Ashton Agar instead of Cam Green. Do you think now, after the first test, they'll be more tempted to do that?
They should. And I think the advantage they would have is that, especially with Nauman having done well, Ashton Agar comes in as another left-hander. He comes in to bowl left-arm spin, Pakistan's kryptonite. Every left-arm spinner in the world has at least one 10-wicket haul against Pakistan somewhere in their career. Plus, he can bat. That kid can definitely bat. I mean, his highest test score is higher than Cam Green's. So definitely something to look at. I thought Green did bowl well today. On a benign pitch, he wasn't going to do so much, but he brought in aggression. He gives them the overs. Do they go in with something even more interesting, Behram, and drop one of the fast bowlers and bowl, keep Cameron and Ashton Agar, because that strengthens their batting? So something for them to think about. Not too many changes. If they decide to keep Green, bowl him as a part-time seamer, although he's bowled really well in his last 3-4 test matches, and add Agar, I think that might work in their favor. I think you see Agar over Swepson getting a game simply because of Pakistan's historical problems against left-arm spin and the fact that Agar can bat. That might well work out for them bringing him in.
As always, very valuable input from you, Hassan Bhai. And I think that is the only point of contention when it comes to Australia's playing 11, that whether or not they will include another spinner. Of course, if they do choose to drop a fast bowler, they could always look to bring in Mitchell Swepson as well, an attacking leg spin option. But we'll have to wait and see what the Aussies do. Coming to Pakistan, of course, some good news. I believe Hassan Ali and Fahim Ashraf will be fit for both Karachi and Lahore. And I think they would be sure shot starters given their success in Test cricket last year. And you'd think that they would replace Naseem and Iftikhar. What would you say?
Yeah, I think they would. Wouldn't be a bad idea. I was happy with Naseem. I know a lot of people weren't, but he's still young. He'll learn. Hassan brings a lot of experience, brings ability with the bat, brings that X factor. People are doubting him. People are writing him off. That's when Hassan's at his best, when everybody's like, oh, he's not good anymore. Tough on Iftikhar, but Fahim comes in. Fahim's record in Test cricket for Pakistan is exceptional. Do we go in, Behram, with, if Hassan is maybe not 100% fit, do we not make that change? Keep Naseem as a pace bowling option. Only bring Fahim in for now because he brings that other extra left-hander. Take out Iftikhar. So stuff to think about, stuff to work on, because we saw Shaheen bowl very well on a very placid wicket without much reward. So could Shaheen and Hassan Ali with their pace bring something different into the equation? And it would be a bit harsh on him seeing what he did just a couple of test matches ago. But I'd like to see us bring Zahid in for Sajid. I love Sajid. I think he's brilliant. He can bat also. Pretty amazing guy to have. The celebration is awesome. But maybe we can afford to leave him out for a game. Try Zahid Mahmood in front of his home crowd. He's a local boy from Sindh. And we've got to try something different with the leg spin. I think Australia may play it safe. I don't think we need to play it safe. You have Nauman's accuracy at one end. You have Fahim who can come and bring in the overs. If you keep Naseem, if you keep Shaheen, obviously, and if you bring in Hassan Ali. But I really think that we should try, even if Sajid has that batting, to try and go one up. I think having the leg spinner would be something different. Zahid is not someone the Australian batsman would have done a lot of work on. They would not know a lot about him, Sajid didn't bowl too badly, didn't bowl too well also on that wicket. It's very harsh to judge him. But I just think the variation that he brings in. And then keep in mind, Behram, that, Zahid does have probably one of the best googlies in Pakistan right now. That's got to be something we've got to think about to bring it in. Just try and put the Aussies on the back foot a little bit. So a lot of little subplots going on for both sides. Maybe Cam Green stays, Ashton stays, do Pakistan not bring in Hassan maybe? So a couple of changes we could see on both sides, and it promises to be very exciting.
Absolutely. I agree with you that it is imperative for Fahim Ashraf to return because he brings a lot of balance to the team and offers a lot of control with the ball as well. Goes at an economy of under 3. And of course, his runs with the bat are invaluable, absolutely priceless. And I like your take about Zahid. Now, it is a bit harsh on Sajid because he just recently got an 8-wicket haul versus Bangladesh. But horses for courses is a phrase we've heard oh so often in cricket. And we all know Australia's troubled history with leg spin. And maybe Pakistan could hand Zahid Mahmood his debut. And that could prove to be fruitful for the team. Anyway, moving on to the conditions and the importance of the toss, Hassan Bhai. Now, we know Karachi will not be like Rawalpindi. You expect there to be a bit more for the spinners. Maybe the breeze brings in something for the fast bowlers. But the toss is very, very important, isn't it? Because you don't want to be batting fourth in Karachi.
No, you don't, unless you're Pakistan against Australia and you manage to chase it off in 1994 when all of us had written the game off. Most of us had shut our TVs, actually, only to be told that we're that close and then only to see Inzi Bhai miss an absolute horrible shot that Ian Healy would stump in his sleep, only for it to go for 4 and give us the match. Also, a disclaimer, Behram and I sitting here saying you don't expect it to be like a Pindi. A week from today, if it's 800 for 5, please don't blame us. We're not the ones curating the pitch. You don't want to bat last. I agree. I think win the toss, bat first. Look at Pakistan's history. There have been times when we've had really bad starts. We were 29 for 6, 39 for 6 against India. Ended up winning that match. The openers will be confident. Azhar Ali will be confident. We've not seen the best of Babar. He got run out in his only innings at bat. So bat first, look to put up a good score, which you'd imagine Pakistan will be hopeful of doing, especially with Fahim coming into the equation, with Hassan possibly coming in. We didn't even see the best of Rizwan with the bat because he came in such a strange situation for himself. So I would definitely hope we win the toss and bat first. You don't want to be batting last on this track. And I think maybe, Behram, you might strike a mental blow by batting first. You might make the other team start thinking, oh no, we're going to be batting last. There's going to be Nauman. There's going to be, possibly Zahid or Sajid. And hey, the skipper said it himself. He's a spinner also. So, you got to take him seriously when King Bobby says he's going to be bowling spin. Definitely the toss will be important. Australia and Pakistan will both be looking to win the toss. Pakistan might fancy themselves, even if they don't win the toss, if they can utilize the local knowledge and the conditions to bowl Australia for a low par score. So Pakistan maybe have a slight advantage. Either way, I don't think anybody wants to bat last on that wicket.
I concur, and not to mention Karachi is a bit of a fortress for Pakistan. I believe they've only lost 2 test matches here throughout the course of their history. Now, before we end this episode, we have some fan questions from our Grassroots Cricket Discord channel. Of course, we're trying to be inclusive and engage our followers as well. So, in a very polite inquiry style, Hassan Bhai, let's take these fan questions. Umar Ali Khan asks, is Pakistan missing a trick by not playing a leggy in their Test 11? Well, Hassan Bhai, I guess we've kind of already answered that, but if you'd like to address Umar?
Yeah, Umar, I think we are missing a trick. Maybe it wasn't a bad idea to not play him on this wicket. Keep him away from the Australians. They'll be trying to find out about him. They will only have seen a few games of him playing T20, and maybe he's a trump card that you can use in Karachi. So his fingers crossed that Zahid gets his debut. I'm a huge fan, always have been ever since I've seen him play domestic cricket. And what better than a debut 5-4? The last time Pakistan and Australia played in Karachi, a young leg spinner called Shahid Afridi got a debut 5-4. Wouldn't mind Zahid doing that.
I love that spin from you, Hassan Bhai, that maybe it was beneficial not to introduce him on this placid track and save him for Karachi and Lahore. Anyway, going to our next question. Dang asks, do you think any other team combination would have been better for Pakistan to get a win out of this?
Dang. It's going to be tough, isn't it, Behram? Simply because we had so many injuries. We could have left Iftikhar out, gone with another bowler maybe. But look, that wicket was not something that was going to be showing too many results. And then the rain didn't help also. So, I mean, you can think about it. What did we talk about, in our preview last time? We spoke about that maybe instead of Iftikhar, you play an extra bowler. But I think we went with the right combination in the end. The way this wicket was and the fact that so much time was lost, I think this was always likely to be the result.
I'm going to have to agree with you, Hassan Bhai, over there. And with that, we can move to our next question. Hassan asks, should Pakistan have declared, knowing that this is going to end up as a draw anyway?
No, Hassan. I would have wanted us to bat till the close of play. Maybe get the openers to put on a 320-run stand, yeah. Why not? Make them sweat it out in the field. I mean, it wasn't much fun watching Warner hit us for 300. They weren't anywhere near declaring. Look, the game is going nowhere, but what Abdullah and Imam will take out of those innings will stay with them possibly for the rest of their careers. So we did absolutely the right thing. I'm very happy we didn't declare. And I think in such opportunities, you need to try and be a little selfish. And Abdullah and Imam having those moments to cherish in front of their friends and families is something that's going to serve Pakistan very well, inshallah, in the future.
Well, there you have it, Hassan. I will say that a part of me, the cricketing fan inside of me, would have loved to watch Babar, declare giving Australia a target of like 240 odd to chase in 44 overs. But the way this pitch was playing out, you can see why he would be hesitant to, because what if Australia chased that? And we have World Test Championship points on the line. So I guess you have your answer over there.
Behram, when you have seen Australia beat Pakistan as much as I have, you get PTSD from the thought of even giving them a chance, okay? Absolutely not.
All right, the next question. KAJ2001 asks, do you think Imam and Azhar played too slowly on a deck like this? Batting 2 entire days, yet scoring 476, while India scored 580 in 4 sessions in a test starting on the same day? Of course, the opposition's quality is a different thing, but considering how flat this deck was, would you consider them to be too slow?
No, because I think you have to play according to the conditions. It's very easy to say, look, again, KAJ 2001, I feel comparisons are absolutely useless. India played very well, but who got the most amount of runs for them? Ravindra Jadeja. So, that's a young Sri Lankan lineup, very different to this Australian lineup. If Imam got out trying to play fast, everybody would be like, why is he trying to play fast? If Azhar got out, everybody would be like, he's not in form. So I think, given that it's a test match and you have 5 days, they did all right. I mean, are we complaining about them making 400 something runs in 2 days? Most of us would take it. We would take it. Test cricket is the toughest cricket there is, the toughest format, simply because one mistake can come back and haunt you. So yeah, I mean, you can look at it and say, oh my God, why weren't they hitting sixes every ball? I wish it was that simple. It's not us playing in the backyard. It's not the test matches I played against my brothers, which, by the way, they always got 500 and I was bowled for under 50 each time. But the thing is that I think the guys did okay. Yeah, they did all right. And if it was a total to be chased, if there was runs to be made in attempt to win a total, you could have spoken about it. But considering the overall condition of the match, no problem. This was always the plan. Bat Australia into submission in the first match, 2 spicy wickets in Lahore and Karachi, and win over there. That was always the plan, Bahram. I'm sticking to that.
All right. I will slightly disagree. I mean, I agree that, this was the first test of the series and Pakistan needed to get their eye in. And of course, you have sturdy opposition. And mind you, Australia's fast bowlers were getting some reverse, especially Cameron Green and Mitchell Starc. So I think Pakistan played well. Yes, in hindsight, when you look at 476 across 2 days, you feel like they are about 80 short. And, this is fine for now. But if they are to become the best team in the world, you have to have your run rate in and around that 3 runs per over mark. But I wouldn't be too critical on our boys either. I think they fought hard and they'll have a better idea going into the next test match. Now, Hassan Bhai, I've saved my favorite question for last. Hassan Tariq asks, do you think the Pakistan cricket team has what it takes to win the World Test Championship?
Absolutely. I do absolutely think it. And I think why we have it is because in the last couple of years, we've really seen Pakistan cricket grow. We've seen it come to this point now where we have a group of players who want to play for each other. And as someone who's grown up during a time when Pakistan cricket was full of infighting and toxicity, I back these boys. I believe in this wonderful group of players who are positive. And look, it may not happen. And I know someone's going to make a meme and put my face on it and say, this guy thought we can win the World Test Championship. But I want to believe, how many of us had New Zealand winning the World Test Championship? Maybe not too many. How many of us had them beating India in a final in England? So I do believe, and I do believe finally, we're seeing, it's wonderful to see the fact that both Bahram and I agree that now Shan can't get into this side with his recent form. And Abid Ali might need to hopefully play domestic cricket again and do well enough given his record. That's riches we haven't had in a very long time when you consider that there's still guys who can come into the middle, or there's still bowlers who can come in with their pace. We still have possibly leg spinners and spinners to keep out. And then, we have the experience of guys like Sarfaraz not getting a game because of Rizwan. Yeah, of course I believe. And I believe in this captain. I believe in this coach. I believe in this group of people. I believe because they give us reason to believe, all right? It's Australia, so of course that semi-final is going to come up. But we got so close, we learned from it. So, yeah, and look, inshallah, the more we play at home, the better chance we have, because we haven't played at home for the better part of almost 13 years. Finally playing at home, our guys playing in front of our crowds, completely different situation altogether. To answer your question, yes, I believe we have what it takes.
Loving your optimism as always, Hassan Bhai. And I just like to add to that, Hassan Tariq, you have to realize that we've already had 2 away series. 1-1 in the West Indies and 2-0 in Bangladesh. And now we've got 3 home series versus sturdy opposition. Sure, Australia, England and New Zealand. But you'd back Pakistan to win those series. And for their final away series, they have Sri Lanka. So this really is a golden opportunity to at least make the finals of the World Test Championship. And I'll have my fingers crossed and will be very hopeful that Pakistan do make it. That's a wrap for this episode, ladies and gentlemen. And as always, Hassan Bhai, thank you so much for featuring with me.
It's always a pleasure, Bahram. I just love the energy you bring to everything. And I know the fans love it too. I'm always looking forward to this. And I really hope everyone, guys, like and subscribe. Let us know what you thought in the comments below. It's always a privilege to hear from you.
Thank you so much for those words, Hassan Bhai. And just like he said, guys, do like this video, share it, subscribe to Grassroots Cricket YouTube channel. And just to give you a bit of insight, that we at Grassroots Cricket, we're trying to change the landscape of cricket journalism in Pakistan. So support our cause by watching our content and following us across social media platforms. That's all for now. I hope you enjoyed our review and preview. Khuda Hafiz.